Ready when you are.
Okay. How has America changed during your lifetime?
Ooh, that's a big question there. Um, Changed in the ways that when I was growing up, around your age and then even a little bit younger, we could go to parks by ourselves, and there were always some adult looking out the window, seeing if we were all right, if any of us fell. The police in our neighborhood knew most of our kids, would come over and play baseball with us. Now it's like everybody has their own little group. There's not that much mixing. Everybody's more isolated with activities that they do, but not your own playtime, where you and your friend could make up something or do something.
Okay. So do you feel like this generation is better than your generation, or your generation is better?
I think our generation is better. I think that we did more because we didn't have, though computers are a big help, we had to get more creative because computers were really just starting. So a lot of things that you did, you had to kind of rely on some good old common sense and figure out other ways to do things than using a computer. Um, and I think it made us more sociable. You had to have contact with other people more so than the way it is today. Most people are on a pad or on their iPhone, and unless you're talking directly to someone, you're not really paying attention. It's like shout outs and all of that. Nobody's really listening to somebody.
I understand what you're talking about. It's completely true. Can we move on to the next question?
Okay.
How are your values of your generation different or similar to those of the current generation?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There are some differences, or I guess I could say there's a lot of differences between my generation and yours. I don't know if all of them are bad. I think that you have had the opportunity for a lot of things that we didn't have growing up. Um, the computers and the cell phones. Um, those things would have been nice in some cases because we could have kept in touch with our parents when we went somewhere. So you have certain advantages there. But I think it's also made people less connected to each other. And there's not the opportunity to get together more like we did. Growing up, the Y was a big thing. And the Y was where we went and took dance classes and learned different aspects about getting a job. But the Y was also a place where, Saturday nights it was the hangout place to go for the music, and everybody would dance and all of that. Unless, from what I can see here, only the schools do it. There isn't a lot of things done without the school's input. So it's less than what we have. And I think it cuts down on the amount of friends that you make and the amount of people that you meet that could be helpful or could be ones you need to stay away from. But we need to be a kinder gentler nation towards each other.
Yeah.
Anything else?
What was the most significant historical event that occurred during your lifetime so far?
Probably Martin Luther King.
I was actually thinking about that. I didn't know if you were going to say that or not.
Yeah. And I was in high school back then, but we went through a lot of changes. More so for the black population, where we weren't violent, but we kind of started banding more together and kind of doing our own little protests, similar to what you see the football teams do, where when people would get up and salute the flag, we would just stand there. We didn't salute. And that was pretty much almost every black person in high school.
Grandma, what's your nationality?
Mix. There's a lot of mixture there. Mixture would be Indian and probably African American. And some Portuguese thrown in.
Yeah.
Because that's what Ramos is, Portuguese.
Oh.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Do you think there's more racism now? Or do you think it's like getting to be more racist in the world than it was last, like back in your generation?
I don't think there's more, as much as I think some of it is different. Like, there are some people who want to make it a connection between races, and then there are others that don't. I don't see a lot of people standing up themselves as black people. I don't think that they feel it matters. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And I actually agree with you. Then that's the whole thing.
That's because I have such a smart granddaughter.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Next question. What was the first job you interviewed for?
First job I interviewed for was working, excuse me, at a department store called Haynes.
And?
Back in the day, they began to hire some of us as black people, but we were primarily not the sales girl on the floor. We were the people behind the scenes. Like, we did all the gift wrapping. We did the gift wrapping, like people would buy something and they would come back and you could get free gift wrap or a box for your purchases. And that's basically where most of us worked.
Can you repeat that answer, Grandma? Mom is trying to get out the door.
Oh.
Not yet. Yes.
I had babysitting jobs.
Yeah.
That were primarily within the neighborhood. But my first job outside of that was at a department store called Hanes. And we were basically, most of the black people that were hired were put behind the counters to like wrap the gifts. Like we weren't out on the floor being salespersons. We were behind the counter in the corner doing the gift wraps.
Would you say that it was fair that you had to do that, or?
No, it wasn't fair.
That I did that?
But it was a job. So a lot of us took it.
How much did you get?
Oh, that's too long ago. Couldn't remember I have no idea. But it wasn't a whole lot.
Next question, yes. What made you want to do what you did as a career?
I don't know. I made Aunt Susie be my pupil all the time. I was always trying something out on her. And somewhere along the line, I found out that I was pretty good with kids.
What?
That I was pretty good with children. And that I could make learning fun for them. And I decided that I wanted to teach, that I wanted to make a difference and show kids that where you live does not impact how you can succeed.
When did you become a teacher?
When I graduated from college, I had 2 offers. I was also working at Chase Manhattan Bank, and he offered me a job there. He also offered to get me a job where he was on the board of a school in New York City. And I told him thank you, but I wanted to go back to New Jersey. And so I went back, and I guess I was 21, maybe, when I got the job in Newark.
Do you remember what grade you taught?
The very first class they put me in because we had a problem with space. So the classes were overloaded, and I was in with a first grade teacher. And I went to the principal that same day and begged him, if there's another class that opens up with older children, please let me go upstairs, because I'm not good with kindergarten, first and second grades. I can't work with them. You know, it was like tie my shoe, take me to the bathroom. I was like, and when do you teach? How do you get them to sit down? So he finally did get me out and put me in a 5th grade. And from there, I just kept going up. I taught 5th grade for about 6 years. Then I went to a middle school, and I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th, but just language literacy.
What was your life like when you were young?
Overall, I thought it was pretty good. We spent most summers with my Aunt Bibi. You know, Aunt Jermaine's mom would take me and Aunt Aunt Susie, and she would take us for the whole summer. That gave my grandmother a break from dealing with both of us. So we spent the summer in East Hampton, and every day we would go to the beach. It was not the rich side of East Hampton. It was the towny side. And we had to pump water and boil water to make a bath. So there was a lot of effort put into it. So we were tired by 8, 9 o'clock at night. We were ready to go to bed. And we played a lot of games, learned how to do needlepoint, learned how to crochet, learned how to knit, and probably was responsible for me being such an avid reader as I am now.
When did you gain your love for reading? Like, when did you start to really like to read?
Always. And Auntie was probably the one that kind of helped that along, but I was always determined that I was going to learn how to read, and started reading really early. And I love books to this day. I just went to the library yesterday and got 5 more books. So.
2 more questions left.
Okay.
How many brothers or sisters did you have?
I have 2 brothers and, well, I only have 2 sisters left. I had 3 sisters.
What was her name? I mean, I know Aunt Susie, but...
Aunt Maria, Aunt Tracy,
Oh, I know that.
Uncle George, Uncle Manny. Well, your uncles, my brother. I think that's everybody.
Okay, well, this is the last question. Where did you live when you were growing up? Like, what town, what state?
We lived in Montclair, New Jersey. And I lived there until I got married and moved to my first apartment.
When did you and Papa move in together?
After we got married?
1978.
1978. Yeah, well, I remember that. 7/8/78. That's when we got married.
Well, thank you for doing this interview for me for school.
You're welcome. I hope all the answers were clear enough for you.
Yep, they were.
Okay. Are you going to talk to Jaden or something?
Hey, now!
Oh.